Good morning from the forge. Already been out here working, as you can probably tell because my face is dirty. Gonna try something a little different this morning. Not necessarily so different in knife design as in material. Now I typically work in high carbon steels, which are 1075, 1084, 1095, something in that range. You need to have at least what I'm gonna, just for simplicity in stating it, 60 points of carbon to make a good blade. So the 1084 has 84 points of carbon. It's a simple alloy steel. The 1075 has 75 points, 1095, 95 points. Today, I'm going to work in W2 steel. Customer sent me this, wanting me to make him a couple of blades. And before I make his blades from it, I'm going to make one just as a test blade and see how it is to work. And that'll give me more information on how I want to move forward with this. Now, what's going to be interesting is I've never worked with this before. It is a water hardening steel, but that water hardening means that it's water hardened in much thicker cross sections than this. So we're definitely going to use a fast quench oil to harden this knife. The tricky thing is going to be that this blade, this steel, has 150 points of carbon in it compared to the 95 points of carbon that I usually do. That means that once this is worked out and quenched, this is going to be super hard. And even after the tempering process, it's still going to be really hard. I don't think that would really lend itself well to a bigger blade, so we're going to make a small blade this morning. Maybe a 3-inch edge, maybe a 3-inch blade with little finger well, and I think I want the handle to kind of curve upwards. Just make a small knife just to test the steel out. Anyway, let's build a fire and see what we can do. Gonna start out like always, working on our preform, and I'm drawing down the point. I have to say, never having worked with this steel before, I really thought it was going to be harder to move under the hammer than what it is. It's really not that tough. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just drawing my point down, making sure I keep everything flat, making sure I keep everything even. And something with this much carbon in it, I'm going to be, there we go, we're marking our handled blade transition. I'm going to be really careful with this because once you get up past the 1080-ish level of carbon, you absolutely do not want to work the least bit too cold. You can see there I'm working on my handled blade transition. Like I said, I want kind of a teardrop shape. So that's actually going to be the finger choil. Yeah, the measurement's right. Now I'm going to mark where I want the handle to end. And we're going to hammer that down. Let's get our preform done. But anyway, as I was saying, if you work the higher carbon steels the least bit too cold, you're going to get cracks. Got to make sure you get your temperature up. Now we're going to get out the hardy cutter and we're just going to nip our preform off from the parent bar stock. There we go. Get her back in the fire. Get rid of that hardy cutter. Now we're going to start shaping the handle. Once again, a few strikes on one edge, a few strikes on the other, because we've got to keep it even. Work that teardrop shape out. Check our length. It's a little short, and that's fine, because as we work the profile now, we're going to start drawing that handle out. We're going to be thinning so that the blade tapers both ways, or the whole knife actually tapers both ways. From right about where the handle and blade come together, it tapers. That's the thickest point. It tapers back toward the end of the handle and then out to the tip of the blade. Let it get a little bit down in the low red so I can make sure I get all the hammer marks out. And you can see how much that's thinned that handle as it's stretched out. Let's make sure we've got our curve right. I'm going to have plenty of blade material. I know I'm going to have to do a little grinding on this to get exactly the profile I want. Nevertheless, we can go ahead and start working our bevels out. And you can see that blade coming up. I didn't put that reverse curve in. You can see how much that's bending as I hammer in the bevels. And that's fine. I could leave it like that and just make a nice long sweeping Skinner blade, but that's not what I want. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to taper along the spine, and that's going to take some of that long sweeping curve out. I only want to get it down to the point where I can grind more or less straight on the spine of the blade. There, if you look, you can see how the blade tapers both ways, how the knife tapers both ways. And that's just fine. Just got to look, take a little time, make sure everything is straight and even, make sure that the taper is even in both directions, and then we'll move on to beginning the heat treat. And we're going to begin by normalizing this blade, which means I'll bring it up past the critical temperature, which is the point at which the steel loses its ability to attract a magnet. And we're going to let it cool in still air. Now I'm going to do this 3 times. I won't bother boring y'all with all 3 times. I'm going to film that blade cooling twice. And then I'll end this video on I'll end the forging portion of this video on the 3rd normalization cycle. This is not annealing the blade. Annealing would be bringing it up past critical temperature and cooling it slowly in wood ashes or vermiculite or some other proper insulating substance overnight, so it would be dead soft. This is normalization, and this is only to take the stress from forging out of the blade. Let the grain of the steel become finer, which will make for a stronger blade and a better cutting edge. I very seldom show this because, well, what are we doing? We're sitting here watching steel cool. It's kind of boring. Just waiting for it to get down past critical. Some people cool a blade to dead black or to room temperature. I don't bother. And there we go. You can see I need to do a little grinding on the profile to get exactly what I want, but I think that'll do. Okay, so this is the next day, as you can tell, because I'm absolutely filthy. Been working all day, just shut all the machinery off. I'm going to go in the house and take a nice long shower. But before I do that, I thought I'd show you the blade from the video that I just posted. This is it. This is exactly what I wanted. The W2 steel really came out very well. That edge is nice and hard. That's gonna make somebody a nice little blade. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and hit that like button, hit the bell button for notifications when we post new stuff. Give us a comment in the comments section. God bless and have a great night.